Test, test, test.
Ready?
Yeah.
Are you going to be okay to be here tonight? I'm sure.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Recording in progress.
All right, welcome everybody. It's 6 o'clock, March 4th. I'd like to call the Planning Commission meeting to order. Can we have a determination of quorum, please?
Jim Barnes. Here. Michael Flick.
Here.
Linda Kennedy will not be here today. She has an excused absence. Dan Lazareski. Here. Kate Nelson.
Here.
Amy Owens.
Present.
Rob Pierce.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Will you all please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can we please have the ethics law announcements?
Certainly. Jen Gustafson for the record. Commissioners are reminded that if with respect to any matter or any person coming before the commission today, number one, you've received a gift or loan. Number two, you have a pecuniary interest. Number three, you have a commitment in a private capacity such as a family, employment, business, or similar relationship. Or number four, if you've provided representation or counseling before an agency to a person or entity for compensation within the last year on a matter being considered today, please remember to disclose that gift, loan, interest, commitment, or prior representation at the time the matter is being considered. And furthermore, please remember that you must abstain from deliberation or voting on the matter if it's clear that the gift, loan, interest, commitment, or prior representation would materially affect the independence of judgment of a reasonable person. Commissioners are also reminded that under the Planning Commission rules, if you've had any contact outside this meeting with any persons interested in a matter coming before the commission today, you should disclose the nature of that contact at this meeting. I'm also going to go ahead and read the Zoom instructions. This meeting is being held in the County Commission chambers and also via Zoom. To attend this meeting via Zoom, you can log into the Zoom webinar at the link found on the first page of the agenda. You can also join the meeting by typing zoom.us into your computer browser, clicking Join a Meeting on the Zoom website, and entering meeting ID 842-7265-9406. If anyone is having any computer issues today, you can also join this meeting via telephone only by dialing 1-669-900-9128 and enter meeting ID 842-7265-9406 and pressing pound. Those of you wishing to provide public comment via Zoom, you can utilize the raise hand feature during any public comment period. And to provide public comment via telephone only, you can press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to mute or unmute. Thank you.
Thank you. Kat, can we please have the appeal procedure?
Kat Oakley for the record. Most decisions rendered by the Planning Commission are appealable to the Board of County Commissioners. If you disagree with the decision of the Planning Commission and qualify as an aggrieved person or party, you may appeal in writing within 10 calendar days from the date that the decision being appealed is reduced to writing, filed with the Secretary of the Planning Commission, and mailed to the original applicant in the proceeding being appealed, in accordance with Washoe County Code. Please call the planning staff immediately at 328-6100 for information on the appeal procedure and the application fee.
Thank you. This time I'd like to open up public comment. Do we have any general public comment?
I have no public comment in chambers. I have no public comment on Zoom.
Okay, we'll close public comment and move on to item number 6, approval of today's agenda, March 4th. We have no changes. Can I get a motion to accept as written?
Commissioner Lazareski, motion to approve as written.
We have a second.
Commissioner Owens, I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. All right, moving on, item number 7, approval of the February 4th draft minutes. I do have one change on page 11. On item number 8, right above the number 9, it says Commissioner Nelson seconded the motion, having been able to make all 4 findings, which passed with a vote of 5 for and 0 against. And then it continues on with Commissioner Kennedy voting no and Commissioner Owens being absent. So that should have been with 1 against. Other than that, there is no other changes. That's minor enough that we can vote on that, can we? Yes. Can I get a motion to accept with the minor change, please? Okay, and we have can I get a second?
Commissioner Lazareski, second.
All right, I have a motion to approve with the minor change, and I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, motion passes. Moving on to item number 8A. Do we have any disclosures on this item?
Chair, I have a disclosure to make. In my capacity as the Director of Public Works for the Incline Village General Improvement District, I do oversee the department that has reviewed this item. I did not work on it. I didn't even know it was there until it came out on the agenda. So with that being said, I don't think I have any reason that I need to abstain, but I just need to make that disclosure.
You okay with that, legal, Jen?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, wonderful, thank you. So item 8A is abandonment case number WAB 24-0013 for Lakeshore Boulevard. It's for hearing, discussion, and possible action to approve an abandonment in Washoe County's interest in two 20-foot public utility drainage access easements that traverse across the parcels located at 1685 Pinecone Circle, 1131 Lakeshore Boulevard, and 1135 Lakeshore Boulevard. A 20-foot wide public utility drainage and access easement traverse the subject parcels as follows. And Tim Evans is the planner. Tim, the floor is yours.
Okay, there we go. Tim Evans, planner. So the case before you today is abandonment case number WAB 24-0013. The subject project is comprised of 3 different parcels. The addresses are 1685 Pinecone Circle, 1131 Lakeshore Boulevard, and 1135 Lakeshore Boulevard. The 3 parcels in size are 1.587 acres, 1.902 acres, and 0.534 acres. And the parcels surrounding the subject project are developed with single-family dwellings as well as accessory structures. And the subject project is located within the Tahoe planning area and is zoned Mill Creek. So the request before you is for an abandonment of Washoe County's interest in 2 20-foot wide public utility drainage and access easements that traverse those 3 parcels mentioned earlier. And so on the screen, you can see there's multiple callouts. The one towards the top of that screen there is calling out that there's 2 dwellings, one on 2 different parcels, one on each parcel, excuse me. So 2 of the parcels have dwellings, the third parcel does not, and is vacant. And so the easements themselves, as shown there, it's all highlighted in yellow and called out. Those easements are shown on parcel map 172 and parcel map 381. And so the purpose of the abandonment is to allow for any future development to occur on any one of those 3 parcels. The applicant doesn't necessarily have plans at this moment to do something like that, but should they decide to in the future to expand the houses or do anything additional, abandoning those easements would allow them to do that and be compliant with setbacks and things like that. And one thing to note is that a portion of these easements has already been abandoned. It was abandoned in 1990, and there's a call out for that towards the bottom of the screen there. It's 2 small little portions of the easements that traverse in all different directions on these 3 parcels. So the project was sent to multiple agencies for review. A total of 17 agencies received the project information, and 1 agency provided conditions, which are included in Exhibit A of the staff report. Proper noticing occurred for the proposed project. A total of 6 parcels were noticed, and no public comments were received. And as indicated in the staff report, staff is able to make all 3 required findings as detailed on page 8 of that staff report. and staff recommends approval with conditions and provides the motion on the screen as well as in the staff report. And I'm available for any questions, and the applicant has a presentation as well.
Okay, thank you. If you'd like to give your presentation, that would be a good time.
All right. Good evening, Commissioners. Aubrey Powell for the record, just here representing the applicant, Tower LLC. Tim pretty much covered most of it, but I'm just going to provide a little bit of color as to why they're requesting this abandonment. So this is just a aerial view. It is 3 parcels owned by one family under affiliated entities. And essentially, they came to us about a year ago. I'm a land use attorney because at some point over, since I think about the 60s is how far back it went, there were a bunch of easements between private parties that were granted on these parcels. And there is a legal doctrine known as merger, where when a servient estate and a dominant estate become owned by the same person, the easements naturally terminate when they're between private parties. So we went through the title company and had all of those easements terminated. Really the goal was to just clean up title. As you know, an easement is an encumbrance on your property ownership, and when they don't serve a purpose anymore, they're not being used, it's kind of just good practice to have those removed from title. So through that investigation, looking through all the title reports, we came across these 2 public utility and access easements that were granted to Washoe County, as well as the utility companies at that time, which are now NV Energy and AT&T Nevada. And looking into it, we did not believe. Let me go back here. You can see, I know Tim showed this, you can see where these easements kind of traverse across the properties. They do not touch any of the neighboring parcels. It's solely just the parcels that are owned by the applicant. And over the last 5 years, they've been doing a ton of improvements to these parcels. They built their main residence. They have their carriage house, a ton of landscaping, grading, paving the driveway, and through that there's been no evidence that any utilities were ever actually put into place. We believe maybe the easements were just reserved back in the 70s and these utilities ended up somewhere else. So we've been in touch with AT&T Nevada. They have given us a quit claim deed of easement. We're just reviewing and signing it. So they haven't identified any any utility that belongs to them that's in use currently. And we are also working with NV Energy. We've sent them all the materials, the title reports and everything, and they're just doing their due diligence to make sure that there are no easements. But based on what we've seen through the construction, through all the grading and everything, we haven't seen any evidence of any utilities that have ever been in use here. And so at this point, we just believe that they're obsolete and just an encumbrance on the property that we want to clean up for the applicant. And I do want to mention there was a condition of approval to grant a private access easement from Lakeshore Boulevard to the littoral parcel. That's something we're already planning on doing because we don't want a landlocked parcel for our client now or ever. So we are fully on board with that. It's something we're already drafting up and intended to do anyways, so that isn't an issue for us. And then just to go to the findings, we don't believe that this abandonment conflicts or violates anything within the master plan or the Tahoe area plan. And we don't believe that it will result in a material injury to the public because we don't believe it's actually serving any public benefit at this point or being used for any utilities. And obviously, if it became necessary, if we discovered through NV Energy that there is some utility here that we didn't realize, that's part of this abandonment, we would work with them to make sure that's relocated and there would be no interruption to utility services to the neighbors. We don't think that's the case, but we're letting them do their due diligence and waiting to hear back from them. But the message I've received from them is that they're on board with relinquishing their interests. So now we're coming to you guys to relinquish Washoe County's interests in these easements. And I'm available for any questions.
All right, thank you. Does the board have any questions for the applicant or the planner at this time? Hearing none, let's open up public comment. Do we have any public comment?
I have no public comment here in chambers, no public comment on Zoom.
Okay, we'll bring it back to the board for questions, comments, discussion. Does anybody have anything? If there's nothing, I'll open it up for a motion.
Commissioner Lazareski, I move that after giving reasoned consideration to the information contained in the staff report and information received during the public hearing, the Washoe County Planning Commission approve abandonment case number WAB 24-0013 for Tower LLC, with the conditions included as Exhibit A to this matter, having made all three findings in accordance with Washoe County Code Section 110.806.20.
This is Rob. I'll second it. Do we have a motion and a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to 8B, it's an abandonment, case number WAB 25-0001 for Highland Ranch easement. It's for a hearing, discussion, and possible action to approve an abandonment in Washoe County interest in a plus or minus 70-foot wide, plus or minus 4.76 acre slope construction easement, drainage easement, and utility easement located among the northeast side of Highlands Ranch Parkway within two parcels, APN 508-02041 and 43. Julie Olander is the planner. Julie, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, Julie Olander for the record. So this is an abandonment, another abandonment for a roadway off of Highland Ranch Parkway. It's for, as said, it's 70 foot wide and it's about on a 4.76 acre parcel. Oops. So I just want to show you where it's at. So here's Highland Parkway. It's off of Pyramid Highway. And it is off of two parcels, 43 and 41 on the sort of the east side of that roadway. And here it's shown a little bit better. So it's on two different maps because it's a long stretch of the along the road. So the easement runs adjacent Highland Ranch Parkway, as I said, and the easement is no longer needed as a construction easement. Needed as construction is completed and the public improvements along Highland Ranch Parkway have been completed. Both subjects, as like I said, it's on two parcels, are owned by LLC Highland LLC, and the abandonment would not affect the adjoining parcels. According to the applicant, they have are asking for this abandonment to facilitate the future development of Highland Village Phase 2 subdivision. As some of you might remember, there is a tentative map for that area out there. Both parcels are currently undeveloped, and as I said, Highland Village Parkway subdivision was approved by Planning Commission on November 16th, 2020 for a single-family common open space development for 215 lots. And the proposed abandonment will just enable that subdivision to develop as approved. The abutting property owners were noticed. I didn't receive any emails or phone calls. And then the application was shared with other agencies, and the ones that had conditions are included in the conditions of approval. Staff can make all the findings, and I provide a possible motion. I believe I'm available for questions, and the applicant, I believe, is available online for questions. So if you have any questions, let us know.
Okay. Does the applicant wish to make a presentation?
No, I believe he's just available for questions.
Okay. Thank you. Does anybody on the board have any questions for the applicant or for the planner? Okay, at this time I'd like to open up public comment. Do we have any public comment on the matter?
I have no public comment in chambers. I have no public comment online, unless Ken Crater would like to say something. Go ahead and unmute, Ken.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
All right. Hey, I don't have anything to add. We're in concurrence with the staff report. Again, my name is Ken Crater, speaking on behalf of the owner applicant. And just an FYI, we should be starting construction on the 66 lots across the street in just the next 2 or 3 weeks to bring 66 new housing units to Washoe County. So we're very excited about that. But appreciate your consideration tonight.
Great, thank you. Okay, no more public comment?
No more public comment on Zoom or in chambers.
Okay, we'll close public comment. We're bringing it back to the board for questions, discussion. Go ahead, Mr. Flick.
Yes, Commissioner Flick. I have a question, staff maybe can help me. It's how wide is Highland Ranch Parkway ultimately going to be?
This is Julie Olander for the record. I don't believe there's any planned improvements on Highland Ranch Parkway, the roadway itself. There are.
So it's going to remain?
It's going to remain the same. So this easement is not on the right-of-way. It's along the parcels that are adjacent to Highland Ranch Parkway.
Okay.
I can go back and show that picture if you'd like to see that again. I can show the, if I can get my presentation back up, I can show you exactly what it is.
Thank you.
It's not moving. Okay, I'm sorry, too anxious. Oh, okay, so, oops. Going the wrong way. So you can see the dotted line there, that's sort of the boundary line of the easement, and then the dark line is Highland Ranch Parkway. So it's on the parcels themselves, not in the right-of-way.
Okay, so it's on the parcels that are going to be developed, is that correct?
So it's on these parcels.
Okay.
So it's on parcel 41 and 43 and 41.
One last question, if I could. Is that white spot further towards Pyramid? Is that the water tank?
Over here, off the to the right is where Five Ridges is going on, and that's in the city of Sparks. And so that's all grading, and that is a tower that's for Five Ridges.
So that's a water.
Five Ridges subdivision in the city of Sparks.
I understand that, but that's a water tank?
That's a water tank, I believe.
Okay.
It's in the city of Sparks. So
I'm just trying to orient that to the maps.
Yeah, that's all that graded area is in the city of Sparks.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any more questions? Comments? Discussion? If we don't have anything, then I'll open it up for a motion.
Commissioner Lazareski, I move that after giving reasoned consideration to the information contained in the staff report, the Washoe County Planning Commission approved the abandonment case number WAB 25-0001 for Odyssey Engineering, Inc., with the conditions included as Exhibit A to this matter, having made all three findings in accordance with the Washoe County Code, Section 110.806.20.
All right, and I'll second it. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to item number 9, future agenda items. I don't have anything. Does anybody have any requests? Nope. Okay, moving on to requests for information from staff. Nothing. Okay, moving on to number 10, report on previous planning commissioner items.
Kat Oakley for the record. Yes, I do have some updates on items that you all have heard previously. So on February 12th of this year, the Board of County Commissioners heard WMPA 24-0004 / WRZA 24-0006, which is the change in Empire to change a parcel from suburban residential to commercial. That was approved by the BCC. On February 25th, they also heard the regulatory zone amendment 24-0007 to change the historic school site in Galena from LDS to Parks and Recreation, and that was also approved. On February 25th as well, they heard the appeal of the Planning Commission's approval of WRZA 24-0003, which was White Owl and Red Rock, and that was to change the parcels from low-density suburban to medium-density suburban and open space. The appeal was denied, and the Planning Commission's approval upheld. They also heard the appeal on that day for the Planning Commission's denial of WRZA 24-0004, which was Osage Road. And that was to change the parcels from low-density suburban to medium-density suburban. In that case, the Planning Commission's decision was overturned and the regulatory zone amendment approved. There are two upcoming items tentatively scheduled for the Board of County Commissioners' March 18th meeting, which is the first reading for the Development Code amendments to Article 610, and also the Development Code amendments known as Housing Package 2.5A. And that is all I have.
Okay, thank you. Anything from legal?
No, nothing for me tonight. Thank you.
Okay. With that, we'll open up the last general public comment. Do we have any general public comment?
No public comment in chambers, no public comment on Zoom.
All right. With that said, it is 6:25. We're adjourned.